Well, hey, everybody. So glad you're back with us on the Hope-Filled Fiction blog this week. And I have Cindy Sproles with me today. Hi, Cindy.
Hey, how are you?
I'm good. It's so good to have you here on the blog. This is your first time with me, so I'm really excited about that. And before we jump into the questions, I want to just start out with you, letting everyone know a little bit about yourself, your family, anything that you want to share for people who don't know you yet.
Oh, I am a Tennessee born and bred girl. I'm in Upper East Tennessee in the mountains. The nice thing about where we live is I'm 30 minutes from North Carolina and 13 miles from Virginia,
Hmm.
about 50 minutes from Kentucky. So, and if you want to go to Dollywood, about 80 miles. So, but no, I've been doing this for 25 years, I guess. My husband, Tim, I call him the Prince. So if you follow me on Facebook, you hear about the Prince a lot. I have four adult sons and two grandsons. So and my mama will be 100 years old this year.
Oh my goodness, that's amazing.
Yep. And
Wow.
she's in great health. She turns out a queen size quilt every other month.
Oh my
So
gosh, that's incredible. Does she live near you or
she is. She's in assisted living about 7, 8 miles away from me. But yeah,
okay?
she's lost her filter over the years. but but she still is in really great health and
Oh, that's awesome. I love
turning
that.
out quilts by the droves.
I
But
love
that's
that.
pretty much me. I mean,
Well, very good. So we're going to start by going way back to childhood.
okay.
And a lot of times I like to know when you were a child, if you had a favorite book or book character that you can remember.
Oh yes, I did. I don't know. I mean, I may be way, way, way older than you, but
I doubt that.
but I used to watch Captain Kangaroo when I was a child.
Me
And
too.
okay, and so he used to read a book called Ping, and it was about a little duck. And I loved that book. I loved Little
Mhm.
Ping. And
Mhm.
it was kind of sad, but then kind of not. He was a little determined duck. And
Mhm.
so I always loved Ping. I thought that I looked forward to when he would read that book. And he read it
That's
numerous
funny.
times. So,
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely remember Captain Kangaroo. I watched that
and
quite a
Mr.
lot.
Green Jeans.
That's right. Yes. Yes.
Hey,
Mr.
Rabbit.
Green
Yeah, I
Jeans.
don't think
Yeah.
I'll ever forget them. They were my friends.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, you're taking me back, Sandy. You're taking me back. All right. So you mentioned that you've been doing this writing thing for about 25 years. How did you get started with writing? Was it 25 years ago that it just became a professional endeavor, or did you write before that?
I've always written. My brother is 12 and a half years older than me. So basically, he was an only child and I was an only child. So,
Mm-hmm.
and we lived up on the top of a hill. And so there wasn't anybody else around. The only person around was me to entertain me. And so I've always been with stories, making up my own stories and having my own, um, individual little friends,
Mm-hmm.
that I had. But my mom is one of seven. And so when the garden came in every week, the whole family was together and, it would be green beans one week, corn the next,
Mm-hmm.
apples. I mean, the whole family put the garden away. But I had uncles who their job was to see who could outtell the other one and with their silly stories. So it made it fun. So I guess I've grown up with the storytelling.
Mm-hmm.
That's always been a part of it. I didn't start writing until my children. I mean, really writing. I mean, I've always
Mm-hmm.
written, but taking it seriously as something I'd like to do as a career.
Right.
I didn't start doing that until my boys were they're a senior year of high school, and it was like, well, they don't need me anymore, so I can do what I need to do now.
Mm-hmm.
So I waited till they were grown before I really dug in and started learning the craft of writing and going to conferences and uh,
Mm-hmm.
and doing that. I'm also too a product of a guidance counselor because we lived where we lived. There was just small county schools. They didn't have the money for creative writing and all that kind of. So I had 4 years of basic English.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, but your senior year, when you got that one opportunity to talk to your guidance counselor, and he asked me what I'd like to do, I said, I think I'd like to be a writer.
Mm.
And he laughed at me
Oh.
and said, well, you can't do that. You just need to learn and get you a job that pays you some money. You can't be a writer.
Mm.
And I was just a young kid and naive, and so I believed him.
Crushed your dream.
Yeah. It's like, okay, well, I guess you have to be something special to be a writer.
Mm.
But I've always written. And then, like I said, when my kids were ready to fly the coop, then I went to my first conference and started digging in to learn the craft. So it's been, gosh, hard to believe time flies like it does, but it's been 25 years.
Wow.
So,
Wow. And how many books have you published in the 25 years?
between fiction and nonfiction, I think there's 15.
Wow.
Devotionals
Mhm.
are in there because we had Christian devotion. We do have Christian devotions. So we did some devotionals in there. And then, and I did a couple of devotionals, two through Lighthouse Publishing, and then one through Ironstream
Okay.
that came out in 2024.
Mm-hmm.
So between that fiction, but this is my sixth novel.
Okay.
And I'm contracted for my seventh. So
it's great. I wonder if that guidance counselor has seen any of your books out there.
I don't know. I don't know, but this past weekend we had our 50-year class reunion.
Okay.
And of course, I was out of town. I didn't get to go, but I wondered it'd be kind of cool if he was there.
I know.
Like, oh, look.
I know. Maybe the next time you have one, you can go and take some books and look for him.
Yeah. Look.
I know. That would be poetic justice, right?
Yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about the genre that you write and what inspired you to write that genre.
Well, I told you early on, I'm a mountain girl. I'm East Tennessee, born and raised here. And like I said, my mom is one of seven. So, she had good brothers and sisters. My grandmother was a mountain woman. And so I've been raised in this. Even though I didn't live on the farm, I spent time with my grandmother. But just living in this area, I love my heritage. I love the heritage of the Appalachian Mountains and the people here, and the not only the nostalgia of the area, but also too, folks here are innovative. And family and faith are just kind of inbred into the culture of here. So I love our heritage here, and so what made me want to write Appalachian Historical was that there really wasn't any true Appalachian Historical. The last person that I know of that actually wrote Appalachian Historical about this area was Christie, the book Christie. There was a television show about Christie there for a while, but that was really kind of the last one, and that was in the 80s. So my first novel, Mercy's Reign, excuse me, it kind of rebooted that genre that was from the 80s, but and then now lots of people are writing Appalachian Historical, which is wonderful. It brings it up. But I just love the culture here, and I want people, because they don't teach it in school anymore. If we don't tell my grandchildren, they're not going to know. What an important part that our area, our people in the mountains played in movement out west. So, and they don't know the basic things like when I can green beans or when I cook, they don't know all that kind of stuff. So, it means something to me to kind of preserve that
Mm-hmm.
so that people get a taste of it. I hope when you read my books, you feel like you've been to the mountains.
Mm. I've read one. I can't recall
What Mama Left Behind.
Yes, wonderful. Loved it.
Oh, thank you.
Loved it so much. Yeah, and just hearing you talk and about the area and all that makes me think of Dolly Parton.
Yeah, well, she's
um,
only a few miles from me.
I know, and I love Dolly, and I love her story and how much she loves her heritage and her home and family there in that area too. You can tell just from following her and then what you're saying that it is an area that people who are from there, who live there and have grown up there, love it.
Yeah, yeah, it's yeah, and she was from Sevierville and
Mm-hmm.
Pigeon Forge
Mm-hmm.
area, which, like I said, is about 80 miles from us, 85 miles from us. So,
Yeah.
for what she has done for
Mm.
that
Yes.
economy there and that, but it's amazing,
Mm-hmm.
And then she has the Imagination Library, which,
Mm.
has pretty much kind of worked its way across the nation.
That's awesome.
And, and that's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
She wants people to have education and to read and to have things she didn't have.
Right.
So yeah, we like to think that we are good people. I mean, we
Mm-hmm.
got our moments,
Well, don't we all?
we got our ones, but,
Yes.
but for the most part, the culture here is just
Mm-hmm.
different.
Yeah, I love it too. I grew up in Northwest Georgia near Chattanooga, Tennessee. And so we went a lot of years on vacation to Gatlinburg
Yeah,
area and Pigeon Forge and got Dollywood and all the things. So very near and dear to my heart too.
yeah, yeah. Now, a
So,
lot of my stories are set in the Chattanooga area.
oh, that's
Up to there.
interesting.
My daddy was born and raised in Etowah, Tennessee,
Okay.
and so that's not very far from the Georgia line.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know why that. I think because that section of the mountains kind of comes together, and we get the Native American culture as well as um, the Appalachian Mountain people, and then um, people from out of this area. So we got kind of get that mix of people, and that
Yeah.
kind of goes around that area.
Well, I grew up right there around Lookout Mountain,
Yep.
where Rock City and Ruby Falls and all those places are just down the road from where I
Yep.
lived. Yes, so it's a nice area. It's a nice
Yeah.
area.
Yeah.
All right, well, back to you and, and your books and writing. Uh, Tell everyone a little bit about how you incorporate Christ and hope into your writing, because this is Hope-Filled Fiction blog, and we talk about hope in our book. So, how do you incorporate that?
Well, first of all, I think I can get away with it a little better than somebody that's writing um, contemporary or something like that, because religion's very much a part of the Appalachian culture. So I'm able to kind of do a little bit more there because that's just, that's part of us here.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not overt with it as far as, doing a come to Jesus kind of thing. But
Mm-hmm.
what I write in for my faith factor are life lessons. And I do allow my characters to, because um, uh, the belief of God is in this area already. It
Mm-hmm.
might be a little misconstrued at
Mm-hmm.
times,
Mm-hmm.
but it's still part of this culture. Excuse me. And so um, I try to write that in through the life lessons that we learn. So I allow my characters to have their moments where they may get angry at God. We do that anyway sometimes, and I allow them to have those moments where they don't believe or where they question,
Mm-hmm.
and then I let that faith thing fall in the midst of learning a life lesson
Mm-hmm.
and a change within their heart. So
Yeah.
a lot of that happens internally. It's not necessarily external in the story, but it happens internally in the character.
Mm-hmm.
I just think life lessons are a great way to do that.
Yeah, to say that's just real life. That's how we live life and how we learn too. So we talked a little bit about setting in the Appalachian Mountains. This book that's coming out, the one that we're focusing on with this interview, I want to get to that and talk about that book. What's the title of this new book?
It's called The Eyes of River.
The Eyes of River. Now, is this set in the area where you live, or is it a fictional setting, or what?
Well, it's based around, like I said, the Chattanooga area,
Okay.
down right before Chattanooga and Macon, Georgia,
Mm-hmm.
kind of starts there, and it works its way up to Knoxville,
Okay.
Tennessee. So that's the setting for that area. But the actual town that are in the story, I will mention Chattanooga and Knoxville because I like people to be able to kind of orient themselves.
Mm-hmm.
But the towns that we talk about outside of those two are fictional. I just made them up.
Okay. What about naming your characters? How do you do that?
Well, I do a lot of research on that. I like to research and make sure that the names that I find are true Appalachian names. And I think I drive my editors crazy because I'll rename my characters multiple times, and I'll get a note from I think I've got them all changed, and I'll get a note from the editor that says, "Who's so and so?" Oops, I missed that one. I keep working trying to find and research the right name for my characters, so that it's as authentic as it can be. In my second novel, I use the name Lochiel, which is my grandmother's name.
Oh, that's so interesting.
So I had to find a way to tell people how to say Lochiel, so we made that happen in the book. But it's just a good mountain name.
Mm-hmm.
So I try to search them and find good names.
Now, Lochiel, I've never heard that before.
Yeah.
Now, how did her parents come up with that name? Do you know?
No, I have no idea. And when I did the research on her name, it didn't have a meaning, which actually, you can go in and research and find, what's the meaning of your name.
Mm-hmm.
And it said a name with no meaning, and which actually ended up fitting the character in that story perfectly because she had no meaning to people,
Mm.
and so it was the perfect name for her. But no, I have no idea, where her name came from. But her sister's name was Donnie.
Donnie.
So, yeah.
That's my daughter's married last name.
So I don't know where they came up with their names. Then when I did This Is Where It Ends, the lady that I chose there was a 94-year-old woman, and her name, I gave her Minerva Jane.
Oh.
I did not know because we'd moved my mother into assisted living. And when we were going through and cleaning out her stuff, I found some pictures from my dad's childhood. And my great-grandmother, her name was Minerva Jane. It was like, well, isn't that?
And you didn't know?
A winky dink. Yeah, I did not know.
Oh, my goodness.
I found that picture, and it was like, oh, wow.
I love that.
Yeah, so I try to find names that are true Appalachian names and, that carry some meaning that goes along with the character.
Mm-hmm. So tell us a little bit about the story, The Eyes of River, and even the name of the book has caught my attention because it's not the eyes of the river or a river. So talk a little bit about the book, the premise, and give us a little teaser.
Yep. Well, the book is titled after a little boy that's in the book, and his name is River.
Okay.
And funny thing is that when I can come up with a title long before I come up with the story. And I don't know if you remember back in the 70s, I think it was one of the Easter things when they had a guy that played Jesus. I think it was Jesus of Nazareth. And the guy had these just glassy blue eyes. They were just gorgeous. that's why I thought that'd make a great book. So, and that's where the title came from.
Oh, wow.
But the story is about a little boy who has these glassy green eyes that are just very convicting. When he looks at you with those eyes, they make you think, and you feel his soul through those. But the story, he's kind of the side story in this. The primary story is his sister Lizzy, and she's trying to save him from their dad.
Mm.
And so she actually puts him on the train and mails him, because yes, there was a time in our country's history when you could mail a child to mail. So she puts 28 cents on his back and mails him
Oh
to
my goodness.
her mother's friend in Knoxville, and he never makes it there.
Mm.
So her journey with her friend Alton is to find her brother, and not only does she find her brother, but she finds her mother told her that scripture, "The truth will set you free." That was, her mother would say that all the time. And she would always tell her, whatever you do, you tell the truth, because the truth will set you free.
Mm.
And so she thought really highly of her mother. And so the biggest thing for her was to learn that her mother was not the person that she thought she was. And that the things that she had done left Lizzy herself not knowing who she was. So the other little tidbit of history in there was actually a woman in Memphis who had a children's home, and she would actually take babies and sell them. She would take them from the hospital and tell the parents that the baby died, and then sell the baby to a very wealthy family. That was true. That happened in the 50s, but with the fiction, you can move it anywhere. So I based it around that. And so I try to keep some history in there. But this is Lizzy's story, to find who she is, and to save her brother.
Well, that sounds wonderful and heart-wrenching all at the same time. And I love like gritty, hard, real, true to life stories. So that really catches my attention. But I would think writing themes like that, there had to be some really hard scenes for you to write.
Yeah.
Is there one scene that sticks out as maybe the hardest?
I think the hardest one for me to write in this story was, and I do write the hard Appalachian stories. I don't write the real sweet, flowers and roses and daisies on the mountainside, because life was hard back then. But I think the one scene that was the hardest for me to write was when Lizzy came to the realization that what she believed of her mother was a lie. And because I think that we all kind of come to grips at some point where that somebody in our life at some point has misled us and hurt us. They may not be trying to do that, but they hide things from us. And so I think for me, the hard thing was writing that realization, because it had to be emotional, and it had to be heart-wrenching for her to be able to come to that realization. She believed in her mother. And so that disappointment that her mother was not who she thought she was, and then to feel like she'd been lied to. She had been lied to all of her life. And so I think that was the hard scene for me to write.
Yeah, it's really hard. We want to believe the best about those we love. And then when you find out something that rocks your world concerning that person, that is really tough. It's really tough.
Yeah.
Well, you said you have started writing years ago, but not seriously until 25 years ago. I'm wondering, have you written things that are just sitting out there that maybe are unpublished or they're unfinished? And if so, do you plan to pursue publication for those?
Well, I have 5 novels sitting up here on the shelf that'll never see the light of day.
Oh.
And it's because even though the stories there are, I think, are good stories, I was learning the craft of writing. And to go back and so they're finished, but to go back and to revamp them, and because I didn't understand when I was learning, I didn't understand about plot, and I didn't understand all that kind of stuff. So I have the stories finished, but it would take a monumental amount of time to go back and rewrite them.
Mhm.
But I do. I never throw anything away. So I do pull from them all the time. So
Mm.
there are scenes in a lot of these novels that I've written in the past that I'm like, I remember when I wrote.
Oh.
So I go back and start digging and pull a scene,
Oh, nice.
or pull a character and use it, or a piece of a plot
Mhm.
and use it. So they come in handy, but no, they'll never, as a whole, they'll never see the light of day.
So the moral of the story, don't throw anything away
Don't throw anything
because
away.
you might use it. I found that, started getting clean out mode, and I was a cheerleader in high school, and my husband was in the Navy 20 years. So we moved all over the place, and I drug my big old megaphone, everywhere we went. And finally, some years ago, I'm like, I got to get rid of stuff. Why am I carrying a megaphone around? And so I threw it away, got rid of a bunch of stuff. And I want you to know it wasn't a couple months after that, our church women's ministry had a pep rally. And I'm like,
And you
oh,
needed
if I had my megaphone.
it.
Oh,
Yeah.
gosh.
Oh, yeah. And they're done it.
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
So,
when my partner and I, who we do RAMS, which is a coaching, writing and coaching um, service with some of our clients, we always tell them don't throw anything away. Make you a file on your computer, and anything that you delete, don't delete it forever. Put it in a file, label it, and just leave it on your computer, because you may come back and use it someplace else in that story,
mhm,
or you may use it down the road in something else that might fit better.
right.
So no, I don't ever throw anything away. It's all crammed in one file.
So this book, The Eyes of River, the published date was June 23rd. Is that what you said?
23rd, yeah.
23rd. And so we're recording this a little early, but this will actually post in July. So by the time, you all are watching this now, the book is out and you can grab your copy. And after hearing Cindy describe the story today, how can you not want to run out and get it? Like, I want to. So I'm looking forward to reading it. So I know writers, we always have something else going on. Like, it's not, oh, that book's published. Oh, I'm done for a little bit. What else is in the works? What is coming next?
Oh, well, I am contracted for book 7. And right now it's called Come Hell or High Water. And it's about it's a split time. So I'm learning here. I've never written split time before. Everything I write is first person. So I'm learning to write split time.
Okay.
And I'm trying to ask myself, why did I try to do this and learn on it instead of resort back to what I know best and learn on the side. But Come Hell or High Water is about the contrast between Western North Carolina and Upper East Tennessee in 1916, when the same kind of hurricane and flooding happened that happened with Helene in 2024.
Wow.
So it's like 100 years between the two.
Mm.
So that makes it perfect for a split time story. To be to find out a little bit more about the devastation and the loss that this area felt through Helene, and how we're still
Yes.
digging out. We're still digging out
Yes.
from it. But I thought it would be a great opportunity, because I didn't realize it had happened 100 years ago. It's like every 100 years
Yeah.
you have a hurricane in the mountains, so something that just doesn't happen
Wow.
here. We're snuggled in the mountains, so for a hurricane to get through into the mountains is a big thing.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like a lot of people are going to be interested in that book.
Yeah.
I think that you're going to get a lot of interest in that.
Yeah.
We just went to Blue Ridge over in North Carolina, and my husband dropped me off and went over to Tennessee near Chattanooga to visit my stepdad for a few days. And he drove through some of the area that is still suffering devastation. And he said it was unbelievable. He said, the road is just gone.
Yeah.
Completely gone still. After all this
I think
time.
Interstate 40 has collapsed 3 times.
I know. That's why I told him. It's like they build it up and something happens and it knocks it out again.
Yeah. So I think the only thing they're going to be able to do, this is off the topic, but I think the only thing they're going to be able to do is build a bridge. But yeah, it was funny because after Helene happened, I went to the Florida Christian Writers Conference just a month later, and I was in the airport on the way home, and I was talking to a lady who was from Miami, and she said, well, I just have a question. And I said, yeah. She said, couldn't you all prepare? And I mean, she wasn't being ugly. She was genuinely confused why because she was from Miami. They know how to. And I said, well, let me ask you a question. And she said, yeah. I said, do you prepare for snow? And she went, well, it doesn't snow here. And I went, bingo.
What a perfect response.
Get hurricanes here, but just to be able, I flew back on the plane with 3 people who had property along the Nolichucky here in Tennessee. That one of them lived on this side of the river, 2 of them lived on this side. The 2 that lived on this side was where the river hit. And so it completely washed their homes away, or their second homes, where family members' homes. The ones on this side of the river were okay.
Wow.
Because when a river came down, it was like throwing water into a basin, across on one side. Yeah. So, but yeah, it took out maybe 2 football lengths of Interstate 26, all 4 lines, all 4 lanes here. So we say we were 25 miles or 25 minutes, and it could have been us.
Yeah.
So, when I went to North Carolina last week, and I still drive by, and it's the hospital that was there is gone. So I think there's a story there for people just to see the personal loss, not just the loss of property, but there's still a huge list of names of people who have not been found. And to have to live with not knowing.
Yeah, that's terrible.
So I think there's a story there, and that's what I'm working to do.
And when does this book come out?
Well, they haven't given me an exact date. They said probably Christmas of next year.
Okay.
We'll see. It may be, 2028 before it actually makes it to the shelf. But I think tentatively the winter of next year. Okay.
Well, it sounds great. And this book we're talking about focusing on today sounds great too. The Eyes of a River. We're going to be looking for that, and can't wait to see what God's going to do through these stories and through your writing, Cindy. Thank you so much for sharing today, and it's been a pleasure.
Thanks for having me.
All right. Bye.
Bye.